I'm actually quite excited about how the singularity will happen. And in the future, we could live forever in a cloud-based environment, not having to worry about bone cancer or osteoarthritis or whatever it may be, that we're actually become digital citizens in the future.
So welcome to the Longevity Code, a podcast by the Longevity Center, Switzerland. I'm your host. My name is Erat. I'm specialized in sports medicine, internal medicine, and of course in the field of longevity medicine altogether. It's my great pleasure to welcome Phil Newman from Longevity.Technology to the program today. Phil, it's such an honor to have you today. You're absolutely inspiring and a pioneer in the field of longevity and longevity technology. Welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure too, and looking forward to talking about all things longevity today.
Well, you're the CEO and founder of the Longevity.Technology, which is a digital investment platform. What made you initially go into the field of longevity? What triggered this path?
Well, candidly, I was looking for the next big market to get myself into. I'm a professional marketeer. I've spent all my career working in early stage markets and early stage technologies, disrupting old markets. And that's everything from, the early days of the internet, which everybody was part of, but likewise, Internet of Things. I've been involved in sustainability and other, areas of technology that have actually changed the world as we experience it today. And I was looking for something next to get into. And I read an article about a company called Juvenescence, who I'm sure you know. That was back in 2018. That was the spark that actually ignited my interest in longevity. I started reading up about the subject after that, realized that actually there was a gap in the knowledge about what longevity actually was. There wasn't really a very strong market structure. You couldn't really identify what it was, and people were interpreting longevity very much in their own way, and those interpretations were a long way apart from each other. So I figured there was an opportunity for a marketeer to come in and actually help define the market and be a participant in the market as it grows, and that's what I decided to do. I decided to set up Longevity.Technology, which is a daily news website. It's been a big investment in time and money to build the brand and to build the community around that brand. But I'm delighted to say that really, we're central to the industry now. We've got a great reputation, which obviously we work very hard to maintain. And we've seen the industry grow over these last 5 years that we've been live. And started back in 2018. And really, I've decided I'm going to commit the rest of my career to this industry because it's going to be around for a long time. And I'm hoping so that I will be too.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Longevity.Technology, I know the brand very well. It's an extremely recognized brand in the field of longevity. You've really done a remarkable job. And actually, I think about half a year ago, I even did an interview with you. We kind of switched roles. So you were interviewing me, and now it's my pleasure to interview you.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, longevity clinics are a big part of the whole industry. So, I'm excited to learn from you today as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. When we talk about Internet of Things, what kind of a role does that have in longevity, if any?
Well, I think the obvious one is wearables. So we are obviously picking up a lot of biometric data now through wearables, which have become a very much part of everybody's everyday lives. I've experimented with different versions of wearables, and I've settled on the one that I like the best. Now, obviously, they sit on the outside of the skin. I think that in the future, as we see tighter neural integration, other ways of picking up biometric data, I'm sure that those wearables will be internal as well. And I think that the Internet of Things will form part of really the infrastructure of knowledge and data that is surrounding individual and personalized health. And of course, then there's the external Internet of Things, safe homes, tracking of older people in their homes, fall detection, those types of things. So the Internet of Things has really formed part of the the healthcare system as we all know it, but I do feel it's got a big part to play in longevity too.
Absolutely. So as you know, I'm a medical doctor, so I also take care of patients in hospitals and in hospital settings. And there are some chronic diseases where it is extremely useful to get real-time data directly from the home environment. And so their IoTs, or Internet of Things, of course, is kind of a great postman or mailman, so to speak. In Switzerland, about a year ago, September 2020, about a year ago in September, we had our data protection laws changed, and they became even more strict. What about data protection? Do you worry about that at all? And cybersecurity as well?
Yeah, sure. Of course, I do professionally. I'm very concerned about data protection. We collect data and we want to make sure that that data is protected. And of course, the advent of the blockchain is a very interesting, but still very early way of building digital autonomy, so that you own your own data. You decide who you wish to share your data with. You can see who's looked at your data. And that transparency of information flow on the blockchain, I feel, is going to be really the future of digital autonomy, as well as digital recording of health and all the other data points that come with that. So yes, I do believe that data protection is a very big issue. I also feel that it is a technical issue that will be resolved as blockchain grows. But I do think you should also recognize that the amount of information that we voluntarily give away now through our daily interaction with mobile devices, the internet, large language models, and so on, really is starting to reduce the independence that we have as citizens of the world, because we are giving away a lot of data voluntarily, whether we know we're doing it or not. So I think that people need to be careful about that. There was an interesting thing about 10 years ago about bringing identity cards into the UK, and it got kicked out of the Houses of Parliament because people were irate about nanny states and big government and loss of autonomy. But we give away that information and more on Facebook and Instagram every day. So I think it's a rounded conversation that needs to be had. And frankly, if I get the benefit of sharing my data with a system that then gives me much bigger information about my health and well-being, then I'm happy to do so. I'm a big fan of Whoop. I look at my sleep patterns. I look at my strain guidance for the day from Whoop, which is a AI running on a wearable, looking at my highly personalized data, my sleep data, and I find that very, very, very valuable. And I wouldn't actually live without it now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're really making a point there. I mean, yes, we need to be extremely serious about data protection, but it shouldn't be an obstacle or hinder the development and the future of technology, apps, wearables, and the implementation of that in everyday life and in clinical settings. So I couldn't agree with you more. What about AI? I mean, AI is something that I think we are all now, ChatGPT and all these technologies, we're all using them nowadays. How do you see that in the field of longevity? How do you envision, what will the role be of AI in, let's say, 2-3 years?
Well, I mean, there are some interesting roles for AI currently. So first of all, the identification of unique molecules is a very important part of not only drug discovery, which of course is very prevalent. It's the biggest area of investment in longevity, but also in the development of molecules that are food molecules or regarded as safe molecules that can form part of supplementation. So the volume of new molecules and targets that have been identified through AI is huge. Now, the testing of those molecules also needs to be, the volume associated with that needs to ramp up. So we're now seeing that there are AI testing platforms that are being able to work with C. elegans and other organisms to identify the early stages of efficacy or not of molecules. So I think that's a very important ramp up. And we're now seeing that AI is coming into supporting companies now with the testing and analysis of drug trials as well. So AI is big. I think that obviously AI through large language models is also very big. I think that it's very interesting as a content provider, as we are now, to see how our information is scraped by large language models to feed their clients. And I do feel in the future, people are going to get their health guidance from large language models. The days of the internet and the days of search engines are different now to what they're going to be in the future. Those days are moving towards being behind us now. So you'll talk to a computer and ask it a question, and it will read you the answer from large language sources. And the issue that we've got with that is really making sure that those sources are valid. Now, of course, that is an argument that's being had everywhere now about students using large language models and academics using them for papers. But the point is that everybody is now using these models, and these models are now feeding themselves. So obviously they're looking at papers and content that's being created by large language models themselves. So the issue is that there is a potential degradation of the quality of that content with the large language models feeding themselves. So I think we have to be very careful about that in the way that we go forward. So likewise, AI has got its concerns in other parts of whether it's defense or telecoms or agriculture or whatever it may be. I think in the terms of educating consumers about their own health and well-being, we do need to make sure that AI and large language models are analyzed and checked very, very carefully.
What about quantum computing? We talk more and more about that, but we haven't really seen much of it yet, arguably, in the field of medicine and longevity. What's the role of that?
Well, I think that quantum is exciting in two ways. I think the first one is, of course, ultimately medicine will be personalized for every individual. And of course, the data that comes into those systems is highly complex. It's highly three-dimensional, and you'll need a huge amount of processing power as well as the IoT devices to be able to collect that data in the first place. So I think that quantum, when it finally becomes scalable and affordable, will play an absolutely significant role in not only helping identify key biomarkers and health metrics of individuals, but then also diagnosing and treating those patients going forwards in the future. Now, I personally am very excited about neural integration. We've seen, obviously, Neuralink with their brain invasive device. I think there are other devices that are just as good as Neuralinks out already on the market. But I think that the concept of being able to move closer to the singularity, which is where we become one with the machines, which of course is something that, again, whether it's data or whatever it may be, we need to be very careful about that. But if you're an early adopter and a science fiction fan and a visionary like I am, I want to be in the position where I benefit from all these amazing technologies in the future. And recently I just wrote an article, not for our publication, but as a guest writer for another publication, about the concept of both quantum computing and AI being able to analyze my brain patterns, not only my brain patterns from a motor cortex perspective, which of course is what these systems are doing currently, but so it understands my thoughts and my emotions and my impulses over a period of time. And I'm actually quite excited about how the singularity will happen. And in the future, we could live forever in a cloud-based environment, not having to worry about bone cancer or osteoarthritis or whatever it may be, that we're actually become digital citizens in the future.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I'm just about to go to London for a meeting on quantum computing. I'm super excited to see where it will take us in the field of medicine and obviously also in the field of longevity medicine. What do you wear yourself? Do you have any wearables or any? Do you have any devices that you like? This is not a PR session, but I'm really curious about what you do.
So I'm sort of running out of limbs. So I've got this is an Ultra Human ring. I've got my iWatch here, and I've got my Whoop band, which is charging up. And I also actually use an Apollo Neuro to assist with concentration. So because I've run out of wrists, I actually wear this around my ankle. And I've also got this new device here, which is called a Pulsetto, which is a vagal nerve stimulation device, which you wear around your neck. And it puts so those are my wearables, so I'm familiar with all of them.
That's amazing. And the vagal nerve, so this device that you showed in the very in the very end, that obviously affects also the carotid arteries. And what's the impact of that? Does it lower your blood pressure? Does it calm you down?
I haven't really used it properly yet, to be honest. It is my daughter's played with it,
Yeah.
so she's had a go with it, and the device that I really do enjoy is this device. This is called a Sensate device.
Yeah.
And this sits on the breastbone and is direct vagal stimulation. So I use that a lot to assist with my relaxation. Now I don't actually have much chance to relax, and the point is when I do need to, because I do have a chronic fatigue condition, so sometimes I get really wiped out and I really need to just have 20 minutes break. I find that device is great for just getting me into a relaxed state very, very quickly, and I find it as good as a couple of hours rest.
Brilliant. Here in Switzerland, we're very, very lucky that even if you live in a big city, you're still 5 to 10 minutes away from the countryside, from the woods, from green spaces, and it has been clearly shown also that micro breaks in nature has a huge positive impact on your mental health and on the stress levels. And you can of course measure that also through cortisol, but also through heart rate variability. Have you ever measured your heart rate variability?
Yes. My heart rate variability is pretty good, actually. When I came to Longevity Centre in Warsaw, I was congratulated on my good heart rate variability. So, yeah, again, I'm a bit sleep obsessed now. I try to sleep 8 hours a day. I try to eat very well and really just make sure that I look after myself as best as I can, because I live in a very high stress role, and I spend a lot of time working and traveling. So I really try to make sure that I don't overdo it too much. So I optimize as much as I can. I'm 56. I'm doing okay at the moment, but I'm putting myself under quite a lot of pressure at the moment, and I want to make sure that I stay as optimal as I can. It's
amazing. The impact of sleep, or also sleep deprivation, is just immense. So you might know there are some really beautiful studies that show that the risk of heart attack and cardiovascular events increases by almost 50% if you sleep 5 hours or less per night. So it's really, the impact is just absolutely immense. And here we can obviously also analyze and track our sleep through various devices, including also the Oura ring that I saw that you were also wearing. In terms of your vision on longevity, where would you like for longevity and the field of longevity to be in, let's say, in 5 years' time? Or let's say 10. We can also say 10. 10 is maybe more visionary.
In 5 years' time, I would like to see therapeutics in human studies that are working on cellular and systemic rejuvenation. And in 10 years' time, I'd like to see the potential, as we've just seen with the GLP-1s, I'd like to see those therapeutics approved by regulators and being used in humans, because I feel it's very, very, very important in 10 years' time from now, when you look at the demographic challenges that most developed societies have got, that an aging population is looked upon as something that is controlled and managed at a national level rather than an individual level, where every citizen in 10 years' time is aware of what the difference between their chronological and their biological age means, that they are able to stay mobile and stay sane and stay in a position where they can become financially independent for as long as they want for the rest of their lives and change their career if they want to. And the societal change that will drive, I feel, will be, ultimately manifest. It will be so significant in the future, where the concept that, let's face it, every relative or every ancestor that you and I have been attuned to the fact that you live and you die, and you probably die after a period of morbidity that is pretty miserable for everybody. And I'd like society to change that. And I feel within 10 years from now, this longevity industry will have got the break that these GLP-1s, which are the weight loss and diabetes drugs, have just started to have, and the effect that they're going to have at a societal level is very, very interesting. And I can see that the debates that are being had now about whether people should be prescribed them, grey markets, are there side effects, all of those things. We're going to have those arguments in the future about longevity therapeutics, but they are going to change the world, in my opinion. And I really want to see them. I'd like to see them in 5 years, but I think it's a bit too optimistic at this stage.
It's really remarkable because by 2050, it is estimated that 2 billion people will be 60 years or older. And so there's clearly, on a global level, it's not a Western world problem. It's a global challenge that we are getting older. There is a demographic shift, and we definitely need to address this in the best possible way. And as you also say, it's not only about the medical aspects and health aspects, it's also about financing and also about investing. And this is certainly something that for investors is a huge potential. I mean, just amazing. It's in many ways, it's a mega trend at the moment, already, which brings a lot of opportunities, but obviously also risks. But yeah, it's hugely exciting, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to change the world.
It's definitely going to change the world. Exactly. Phil, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. I've learned so much. It's been really fascinating, and I look forward to continuing the discussions during the summer. So thank you so much for participating in our Longevity Code podcast.
Thanks, Anna. My pleasure.
And for the listeners, I really look forward to welcoming you in 2 weeks' time to the next episode. So please stay tuned.